What's up, everybody? Welcome to the In the Blind podcast. Today we have Ellis on, local singer-songwriter. One name,
One name wonder.
legendary right here. It's a good way to start the legend, right?
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming on with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Are you from Nashville?
I am not. I'm
Where are
from
you
New
from?
York.
We're in New York.
I'm from Long Island.
Okay.
And then I lived in Manhattan for like 6 years, and then I moved here during the pandemic.
Nice.
Wow, I feel like you've made an effort to drop the Long Island accent.
No, if I
Does it
drink a
come
little
out?
bit more, oh yeah, it's good. I can make
Because
it come out now.
I can hear it a little bit.
That one is fairly recognizable. I have some experience in Long Island. I dated a girl from Long Island, from like Farmingdale for
Oh really?
6
Oh my
years.
God.
So I was like up there a lot, and I realized that like there are different New York accents, and Long Island
Oh, yeah.
definitely has its own.
No, it's crazy. Like I went back and went to like a bagel place to order something, and I thought I was on Punked or something. I was like, this is insane. This is a skit. Everyone's like, you want a bagel? You want some coffee? What do you need? And I was like,
100%.
this is my home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Very
my
cool.
aunt is from Long Island, or my whole family is really, but
Oh.
Italian through and through, and
Yeah, same.
at least on not my dad and uncle's side, but he married into an Italian family, and
Where in
They-
Long Island are they from?
Kings Park,
Oh yeah.
like San Remo, like. I guess they used to live in South Huntington before that.
Yeah.
And my grandma moved out there from New Jersey. I was born in Nyack, New York, and
Oh okay.
lived there, and then my whole family moved out to Long Island, and then my uncle was a caretaker of a mansion out there in Fort Hill. I don't know if you
Oh.
ever heard of it. Like Billy, his claim to fame was Billy Joel when he was dating Christy Brinkley. He lived in his boathouse, and like she would like
Billy Joel lived
lay
in my
out the sun.
boathouse.
I know,
It's
that's
pretty great,
wild,
bro.
right? Like,
Yeah, that's a flex for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, so when I was a kid, we got to go there all the time. And like, I thought, oh, Uncle Greg must be like just super well off guy and
Yeah.
lives in this mansion. And turns out he was caretaker of the mansion, but nobody lived there.
Semantics.
So like him and my cousins and my aunt lived there when we were kids. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I love Long Island. Yeah, it's a cool place.
I love Long
I
Island.
love
too.
Montauk.
Oh yeah,
and
I
out there.
grew up going out to Montauk. I played that festival a couple years ago, but yeah, I lived out in the Hamptons for like a year before I moved here with like the guy I was dating, and then after I broke up with him and I went back to the city, it was like during the pandemic, so everything was shut down, and I was
Right.
so depressed. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, New York was
So-
rough during the pandemic.
It was so
and
rough. Yeah.
I traveled to New York and San Francisco during the pandemic, and I was like, these are probably the two worst places to ever go
They're
during
so
something like this.
depressing.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
But I think everybody probably felt the same way about the pandemic.
It was like culture shock though, going from New York to here during the pandemic, and
Yeah, I had never been here before.
Really?
And
Oh,
I
wow.
I never even spent time in the South, and I didn't know a single person here. But I was just like, I think I'm gonna move to Nashville.
So did you move for music?
Yeah, well, I think like during the pandemic, I started working with Zach Brown, and I was like going out to his house in Atlanta. We were writing together, and he was like, we're gonna make an album for you, we're gonna do whatever, and like I was so stoked, and I was like, oh my god, all my dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
And then it's not Zach's fault, but he like got so busy, and everything with the pandemic was like just crazy, and then he has his kids and everything, so like he kind of just like totally disappeared on that for like 6 months, and I was like so sad. But I was like, you know what, I can't just like wait around for someone to make my dreams come true. I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I just had a feeling like maybe if I moved to Nashville, like I would just, and just tried to write with everyone that I could, like, I don't know, things might work out. So I came here, and I was just like writing with people, and then I guess like 6 months after I moved here, Zach like called me and was like, I'm sorry, like I have time to do it now. So then we got to make my EP together, which was awesome.
Nice.
Like
That's
over
awesome.
at Southern Ground.
Nice.
But yeah, so like when I first moved down here, I was like, I
Yeah, that's a
have
pretty
no
good,
idea what I'm doing.
That's a pretty good connect, though. I mean,
Yeah.
And that's an incredible studio to work in.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I mean,
it's
such
so
a
cool.
vibey room.
Yeah, it's a little
the whole
haunted,
place.
though.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard stories of different parts, and
Yeah, Matt, the bassist, told me like he was there by himself one night and he just saw like a man like face through the window. of the
Holy
door. I'm like, because there used to be a bedroom in there, like
Right,
people
yeah.
would stay there. But I'm like, I would never stay there overnight.
yeah,
So
that freaked me out.
I think like to think of myself as a tough guy a little bit, but like when it comes to stuff like that, dude, that stuff is scary as heck to me. Like,
Yeah, no,
It's scary as
absolutely
heck to me, but it's also so intriguing.
Very,
I
Right?
know.
very
Paranormal to me is just, I
It's
don't know,
so
interdimensional stuff. Just that's where I get excited. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I get excited about that stuff.
freaks me out, but then also at the same time, I'm like, all right, it's here, it's all around us. Might as well embrace, what
I think
I'm
what
afraid
it was
of.
is X-Files ruined me, bro. I was terrified of that shit. I loved it, but I like it to me. X-Files was scary.
Well, soft disclosure, right?
Yeah, literally.
Depending
Yeah.
on who you ask.
Yeah.
I would watch all like those ghost shows and everything, and then I
Mm-hmm.
would just like lay awake at night, just wondering why I did that. But
Yeah.
it is fascinating.
Yeah. There's this venue up in Milwaukee called Rave Ballroom. Have you heard of it or played it?
No.
And it's wild place. It used to be like a men's like health club type thing. So it has this massive abandoned pool in the basement, and this place is wild. It's like the upstairs is this massive ballroom, like holds like 5,000 or 6,000 people. Then they have another venue downstairs called the Rave, and the green room opens up to this pool. So like it's closed off to the public, but they take artists back there and let them go sit in there. And there's all kinds of like paranormal videos and stuff on YouTube from this place.
Oh.
And I remember I went and sat in this pool in the pitch dark, completely empty, and literally felt like there was all kinds of entities around me. It was the craziest thing. Then you start hearing things, and you hear a little kid laugh. Then I heard a little kid start crying. And supposedly there's these kids that haunt this pool that drown there.
That's
In
awful.
the 40s or 50s or something.
Again, it's terrifying.
But everyone else is like scared shitless to go in there. I'm all right, I'm gonna go sit in the pool for a couple
go
hours
hang out
and
with these
see if I can
kids.
find anybody. Yeah, it was
Honestly,
amazing, though.
An adult ghost, I can handle that. A child ghost, that's where I draw the line. I don't
Yeah.
want to listen to some weird little
Those are
child
the
laugh.
scariest movies. The ones that have like creepy kids in them.
No. I'm not doing that.
Dude.
Yeah,
No
I'm
way.
not a huge fan of horror movies to begin with, but
Yeah.
start throwing kids into the mix freaks me out way more.
Yeah, I can't do that.
It's because I have kids, I don't know, but just it freaks me out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely freaky.
Very creepy.
Do you prefer the writing side of music or the performing and singing side?
I don't know. I feel like when I was a kid, because I was like really awkward looking and I had like a unibrow and I like dressed like Avril Lavigne, I was like, didn't think I was very pretty. So I was like, I'll just be a songwriter. Like that's what I wanted to do to begin with, because that's
Right.
why I like started writing songs when I was 11. I was like, nobody wants to be my friend, and I started
Right.
like writing songs. So like I feel like that's who I am. Like, deep down, songwriting is always the most important thing. But then like as I got older, I started like singing and performing a lot and got rid of my unibrow, and then and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll
You
do
grow out of
it. Yeah. And I fixed my teeth and stuff, but no, so I really like performing and stuff, but I get pretty bad like anxiety before I
Yeah.
perform.
So I'm right there with you. I have like a significant amount of stage fright. Like,
Yeah.
I did some plays in high school and college, and like was the male lead, and was like literally vomiting my face off for 30
Really?
minutes before I had to go out. And I did well, but like the amount of anxiety and stress that it put on me, I was like, I don't think I could do this. Like, I started college as a theater major, and
Oh, really?
I
Wow.
just eventually just was like, I just can't handle the anxiety. Like, and even I started hosting the Whiskey Fest over here when we first started Whiskey Fest. And
Oh, yeah, I played that.
It's a live show, so like you get up there and you have to talk in front of people live. And, I think even like talking is sometimes more difficult than performing, like 'cause you're singing a song and playing an instrument, you're kind of protected by that.
Yeah,
And
you're like, what do I do with my
when you're
hands?
talking, it's just like everybody's listening to you. And then like if
naked
I
up there.
jack up somebody's name, or like it sucks, it makes you feel like crap. And then I
Yeah.
was like, this is very stressful. Then when we did our first episode here, I'm like, we're rocking and rolling with Riley, and I'm like feeling the pressure of the live, and then it hit me. I was like, oh, this is recorded. Like, I can fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we can just cut that shit. Like, why I'm over here just boiling with anxiety? Like, and I'm looking at him like there was like a pause, and I'm looking at Eric like, say something, dude. Throw me a line, dude. I'm dying over here. And then I had the realization that, oh, this is taped. Like, you can chill out.
Yeah.
Now. Stop being a spaz. And this is a lot better, a lot less stress-free environment for me. The live stuff is definitely, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, because with my podcast, like I started it kind of to like talk about anxiety, and then doing the podcast gives me so much anxiety, and it's just like
the right brain.
I'm happy that I'm doing it, but it's also really stressful.
Is that what's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the right brain because
And you can follow that's social on all socials, and
yeah,
you go YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
Yeah, WRITE, like writing.
Yeah.
But then it's also about your right brain. You
Right.
guys get it?
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's very clever.
We have
Paul Sykes came up with it.
Ours is a little bit of a double meaning too. So we're obviously in the blind, Riley Green's Duck Blind Bar, and we were like, our goal though is to bring people out of the blind. So to let them in on things like the inside workings of the music industry here, and then also, we've had some Matt Murphy. I don't know if you know Matt. But he's a good friend of mine. We've had him on, and he's got some very enlightening things to say. And
yes, he does.
We're gonna have Ed on eventually. So it's really, we want people with important things to say, and that can shed some light on things that a lot of people don't really get access to.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our goal here, but I watched a few episodes of yours. I really enjoyed it. So
thank you.
You guys definitely go check out the Right Brain, WRIT.
Oh, thanks guys. Thanks for promoting me.
Yeah.
How did you decide to get into the podcasting world?
Well, I think it was like sort of, I don't know. I think like when you get the older you get, the more you're like, hey, maybe I should like help people instead of just be like focusing on myself all the time. But I think after I went on the road with the Zach Brown Band for like a couple shows and put out my EP and everything, like that was a dream come true and everything I ever like worked towards. But like during that time, I was also going through like a horrible breakup that was like pretty traumatic. And so it was like weird, like having like, I felt like my dreams were coming true and I was going through the worst time of my entire life at the same time. And I feel like I thought I was going to feel a lot more fulfilled than I did. I think just because shit got really real and I was like, oh, maybe I should like, I don't know. I was feeling really numb. So I thought maybe I should like start something that could, because I figured other people probably were feeling the same way I was feeling. But also like my dad is a neurologist and he like works with mostly like kids with autism and anyone on the spectrum really. But I know from growing up with him as my dad, he's always like pointed things out. He's like, if you didn't get that concussion when you were 4, maybe you would be better at this. And I'd be like, sick. I don't know what to do about that. But it's like, I think I have a rare understanding of like that type of work while also being a creative person. So, right brain people, which is what I am, which I'm not going to diagnose you guys, but people that, like a lot of people that are songwriters and everything, when you're a really creative person, you have so many gifts, but it also comes with anxiety and depression and OCD, which is like things I struggle with really badly. And so I figured like I could start a podcast where I kind of talk about it from like that side of things. And then my dad like actually explains why that's happening in your brain and how you can help yourself and just like
that's pretty awesome resource to have.
Yeah.
I mean that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been going well, and like then we just bring on songwriters, and Dallas was on my podcast. Wearing his merch right now.
Dallas Alexander.
Dallas Alexander.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been going good. But yeah, that I'm talking about all the anxiety and stuff on it, but then I'm also like editing it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm freaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Do you think do you get out those things like the anxiety and talk through these things that are kind of plaguing you as well as these other, creative minds? And does it, I don't know, for me, this is kind of like a release.
Therapeutic.
To like get things out and talk about things that I normally don't get to in an interview or something else. So I don't know, I think that'd be pretty cool to be able to help someone, but then also for me personally, like working through my own issues and figuring out life with somebody else that's going through the same thing.
Yeah, whenever I have people come on that like say things that I've always said, I'm like, see, I'm not a drama queen.
Yeah.
Other people deal with this, and my dad's like, okay. But yeah, it is helpful. And then I'll get like comments where everyone's like, if your dad's a neurologist, then why are your brain's still messed up? I'm like, listen, this is his life's work.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have crazy kids, he would have never gotten into this.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the guinea pig for all of that. But he has helped me immensely. But
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just
you don't get to
it'd work.
program your kids. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
You get what you get.
He learned from his crazy kids, and then he had started helping other people's kids.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but it's been really fun.
That's another my sister-in-law. She works with special needs kids, and that's a very necessary job. Like the people who help those kids, like because we have so many more of them than we did, in the 70s and 80s and 90s even. It's to help those kids find a way to live a normal life and be happy and not feel the things that their body naturally makes them feel. I mean, that's God's work, man. I mean, so kudos to your dad and all the people who go out there and help people less fortunate than them. I mean, it's definitely saints work for sure.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too, because the way he kind of explains it is like, if you're on the spectrum, that doesn't mean that you have like brain damage or anything. It's like if you have autism, it's more like you have a really strong left brain but like a very low right brain, and it's just when your brain strength is on different levels, you're not talking to each other and connecting. So that's like what's causing those things. But if you build up the other side of your brain, then they start to connect and talk. So it's like these things are changeable.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, so it's
sense.
cool and it's positive.
Yeah, very positive.
Yeah.
We all found that, or has he found in working with children like that art therapy and music related things that are more right brain help stimulate that side of the brain for those type of patients and allows them to finally start making those connections?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like different colors stimulate different things, different types of lasers and different parts of your eyes. Like most of your body is kind of like cross lateral or whatever, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I listen to music in my right ear. I don't know my left or my right. I listen to music in my right ear because it's stimulating my left brain. Like if like me being a lefty is stimulating my right brain, like all those things. So he stimulates all different things, and like warm colors stimulate your left brain, cool colors stimulate your right brain. Okay. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Obviously, I'm a doctor, so
yeah, of course. And talking to all these writers and artists, what is the most common, I don't know, I guess thing that they would want to talk about and kind of get out and work through and talk through? I guess the one thing that plagues the majority of people that are creative minds. And
I think there's sort of like a theme of like secular
maybe?
No. Cyclical. Thank you. Oh my God. Cyclical, like
thesaurus over here.
Yeah, wow.
I want a spelling bee in 4th grade, so.
No, I assumed that. But
I'm gonna make you spell that word.
I can't spell. I'm dyslexic, which is also something I talk about on the podcast. But no, I think everyone kind of has like mini like sort of bipolar moments, which my dad explains, because all of my friends that are artists kind of explain how they go through these like times of really being creative and having all this inspiration, and then they kind of crash and have to disappear and retreat for like a little while. And then I think you kind of beat yourself up about that. I don't know if you guys can relate to that
sure.
as artists, but it's like you feel like maybe you lost your craft or you lost your way or whatever. But it's like, I guess the way my dad explains it is like when you're already a super right brain person, and then every day the work that you do is just sort of strengthening that side, and you're not really doing something to whatever, you kind of like overwork it and then you crash a little bit. And so when you hear it like that, it makes more sense, because sometimes I'm definitely that way where like my friends will get mad at me. I'll go through like a month where I like won't answer anybody, and I'm like chilling at my house like sad, and then I'm like, I wrote 7 songs, like, but I don't know, it seems to be pretty common actually. So that makes me feel better.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start to get deep with friends that are artists, that are songwriters, I feel like I always end up, no matter what the discussion is, it always kind of meanders and makes its way back to that. It's like I feel like I'm doing what I love. I'm waking up every day to the most incredible job, and I just don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I can attest or speak to that. Like some of our biggest success career-wise, I felt alone. I felt depressed when I should be on top of the world. And I really didn't know at the time where that came from. And for me, like, digging deep, it came from insecurity. It came from imposter syndrome and other things where I just felt like, oh, I'm not good enough. That's why this isn't working. And then wait a second, you have a hit on the radio, it's working, but this one isn't, and that one before it didn't, and I need to make sure the next one after this does, or I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I think I get so wrapped up in that side of it that I lose sight of all the cool things that are happening and that have happened. And it's so helpful to be able to discuss that. But like I was saying, it just seems like everybody is struggling with that same thing. Even the people that seem the most confident, the people that seem to have it all figured out and having the most success, it's like they're always wanting something else and something more. And I'm just personally just trying to be grateful for what I do have and trying to live in the moment and experience that and really embrace the highs and the lows and just seeing it for what it is and not constantly struggling to feel like, oh, I need the approval of my peers to be successful. And I don't know, I think I'm just trying to not give a shit so much about what everybody in this town thinks and just do what works for me or
Good
for
luck.
our band. And I know it's so hard.
I mean, the record industry in Nashville can be a wood chipper, man. Like, I know with your experience, you guys are cruising along, kicking ass, and then your record company blows up.
Yeah.
And now you're just thrown into the grinder. Like, you don't know where you're going to land and what's going to happen next. And it's also crazy because it was like right when you're at the peak of your success and you're like, how does this happen? Like, we should be on a rocket ship and these guys just threw us in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
Like, and that is probably the most frustrating thing can see from like doing these interviews and being around the town my whole life and knowing a bunch of artists and stuff. And I'm like, I can't imagine like going through all the things you guys went through to get to that point and then have that happen, and then we've had guests on, like I think Tyler Farr, he got caught up in that whole mess, like there was like several artists that had like really good careers going on when those guys went under, it blew up their careers. And then it's just like we had records that they had put together that never even got out, and stuff that's just like, whoa, like you start to understand the inner workings of it. It could be a pretty grimy business, man. I can understand the anxiety and the pressure. I mean, because the town and the industry does it to you.
And I think as a creative person, you also like you feel things differently than a left brain person. And you feel things. I guess it's extreme. Like you feel extreme highs and extreme lows. I can't remember the last time I just felt kind of even keel.
No, I don't even know what that feels like.
Okay. And I was even to your point, what you're talking about with our record company and everything going under. Like I realized that was fairly traumatic for me because I'd worked my whole life to get to that point, thought it was working. It wasn't necessarily anything we did wrong that caused that. So now, like, I feel like I've been living in this, like, and obviously it comes from other family things and emotional things, but like that fight or flight where I'm just constantly trying to hold on to whatever it is that's around me because I'm afraid that something's going to blow it all up that's out of my control, which is a fucking scary place to be. Yeah. But then also it makes you realize it kind of mirrors life. Like, what's the only thing I can control? Myself. Yeah. Yet you're in a business that, okay, that's great. You can only control what you can control, but there's so many other people that are a part of your team that now have the ability to kind of just destroy everything you've worked for.
Yeah.
And it really teaches you to let go and just be at peace with whatever happens. But then there's that fine line you have to start walking of, okay, am I pushing the pieces and trying to force something that isn't meant to happen the way I want it to happen?
Right.
So it's constant.
Yeah.
You just, like you said, it's a meat grinder.
Well, it is, and it's like
chews you up and spits you out.
Really cool having you here talking about the right brain stuff because it's also really difficult industry for right brain people. Like, if you had more of a technical outlook at it, you probably wouldn't emotionally react inside as much, but you're not wired that way. So, but the only reason you're good at it is because you're a right brain person. Like,
well, it's a right brain business that is controlled by left brain people.
Yes.
And the numbers that they need to have in the metrics in order to make something work, it totally destroys the whole creative side of it because now it's a business and it's run by exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I know it's I think I talked about that recently, but it is really it's really interesting thing because like my dad always talks about how like for right brain people, because you're empathetic, so you can feel other people's emotions and all of those things, but it's also like you're hyper aware of what people are thinking of you and people pleasers and so it's just such a funny thing like that probably like my biggest fear is to be embarrassed or for someone to not like me, but then I choose a career where like every day I'm like, do you guys like me?
Where somebody's judging you.
Yeah, we're all non-numbers people in a numbers game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it takes all of these right brain people to create the art
Yeah.
that these other people that have no clue how to make art are now going to be the, they have the final say so, and whether or not this song is a hit or if it ever even gets past the gatekeepers to, be heard.
Yeah. And to your point, like, you do just kind of, I guess, have to just be at peace with yourself, even though that's really hard. But I don't know. I think like when I was working with Zach, I was like, is there a time that like you got to a point where you're like, you were just able to breathe and you're like, I made it. Everything's good now, whatever. And he's like, not really. And I don't know if you guys know Ben Simonetti, but when he had his first #1 a couple years ago, I was like, do you feel like sick now? Like you can just be like, hell yeah, I did it. And he was like, no, I just feel like I need to get another one.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I feel like our little kid selves, if we check in with them, we'd be pretty proud of ourselves. But it's hard to take a step back sometimes.
Absolutely.
I was we had a show out in Hawaii and had a week out there, and the first 4 days didn't have anything to do and just played the last day and then flew home. But I just sat on the beach for a couple hours one day and I was like, holy shit. Talking to my, inner child, basically, like, you have gotten to do everything that you ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
You always said, like, if I just have a song on the radio, I'll feel like I've made it. Then you get a song on the radio, it's like, well, if I get a top 40, then I'll feel like I've made it.
Yeah.
Then, but if I get a top 20, then, like, no, I'm on a different list of people that, have had this type of success. And it's, all right, well, I have to have a #1. And if I have a #1, then the rest of my career will just be smooth sailing. And then you get there, like you said, it's like, all right, well, now I just need another one. And now I've worked my whole life for these different things. And it's like, all right, that's not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And talking, like you said, to these insanely successful, established artists, they're still dealing with those same thoughts and still working those, whatever program they're working in their brain. And they're still hustling and worried that, it's not going to be there tomorrow, just like everybody else in the businesses. And everybody's at a different level, but they're all still fighting the same mental battles, I think. So.
Well, and it can end at any time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Not everybody can be George Strait.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it can also just blow up and take off
at any time
too. And it's one of the few businesses where your dream is literally minutes away and
right
it's one phone call.
TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep posting them TikToks.
Yeah, no, I feel like such an idiot posting stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But maybe this is the one.
How do you feel about that being such a big part of things now?
TikTok?
Or just TikTok, social media
in general.
Like,
makes me want to die.
It's so exhausting. So my wife's a singer-songwriter as well, and
really?
she hates it. Like, she wants to be valued on her ability and her merit, not on the amount of attention she can attract.
Yeah.
Which I understand from, a label standpoint, why they want the following. I get it. But at the same time, like, I don't necessarily think that in the long run will create the best art.
Yeah.
Eric Church had a comment maybe last year where he said there's a lot of these guys out here with #1 records that can't even sing their own songs.
Dude, I saw it. I've seen it in person. Yeah.
Me too. And we've talked about it on a couple episodes and called some people out, I was like, hopefully I don't have to sit down with these guys anytime soon after all this shit we talked about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even their fault. Like, more power to anyone who pops off. Like, that's amazing. Everyone wants that opportunity, but it's kind of crazy when, like, you spend your whole life, like, I started, like, playing open mics when I was, like, 14 and, like, performing out and, like, just fucking up and embarrassing myself and whatever, but learning how to do this over years and years of doing it. And obviously I'm still learning, but I think it's more, like, kind of the record company's fault or whoever just picks them up because they're like, oh, this person has 30 seconds of a song that's sick, like, let's get them on a stage. And then that person, like, doesn't even know how to breathe correctly when they're singing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's rough.
It's not good. Yeah.
But they got 200,000 followers on TikTok.
And again, like we're saying, it's a numbers game. So they see those numbers, they see dollar signs, and maybe they will be able to make something of it. And if not, if it's a flash in the pan, maybe they make back their little investment and on to the next thing. But as you know, it's like you want a team that believes in you and is in it for the long haul, or you can't really build a career.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have little moments, I think, but once you're in the label system, or if that's your goal to get in there, it's like, well, you need a label that works for you. And so many of these labels don't work for the artist. They're working for themselves, their bottom line, trying to keep a job, and they have to produce. So again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's this person that's trying to meet their quota with someone over here that's a creative person that their entire life might be wrapped up in a collection of 6 songs, and then this guy in an office shits all over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you come back from that mentally?
I don't know.
It's so hard.
And also, like, you know, when it's kind of unnatural, because I feel like, you know, when I'm trying to have my artist persona, I'm trying to be like this mysterious, like sexy, cool girl. How am I going to do that if I have to fucking post on Instagram every day? It just doesn't go hand in hand.
This is me getting ready. This is the part of me I didn't want you to see, but apparently I have to show you this to be interesting.
I know, I don't love it.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's some people that it works really well for them because it's authentic and they're the first ones that do it, and they are the trend, and then all these people jump on the bandwagon and it just loses the authenticity. And I think that's what we fight so hard for as artists and as right brain people. You're fighting for people to see the value in your art, and you want to be loved and respected, and it hurts when someone says, oh, that song sucks, or, you know, people behind a keyboard are pretty vicious.
I know, they're so mean.
It's ridiculous. Wild. And I mean, what that in and of itself does for the mental health of a kid or someone that's, you know, just getting into the business, and, you know, first couple videos they post are absolute dog shit, I'm sure. But then, you know, the wrong bully on the internet, you know, picks the wrong thing, and that sticks with you for forever. Maybe that's what causes you to end your life or something. You know, that's people don't think about that side of it. And
it's
words
really
have consequences.
But then it's like you think about it, you're like, who are these people that are doing this? Because none of my friends, my friend recently, she was like, you would have to slap me across the face at a restaurant for me to write a bad review. Like, I will not do it. And I was like, yeah, same. So like, I don't know who these people are that are just, I mean, I think they're just really sad people. I heard a story like Sarah Silverman, you know, that comedian.
Yeah.
I think some guy was like,
she like from Staten Island or something.
Yeah,
she's hilarious.
Or maybe Long Island. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think some guy was like bullying her like a bunch online, like just saying like really mean stuff. And after a while, she was just like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "No, actually, like I'm not. My back is really fucked up, and I don't have any money to pay for back surgery, and I can't work, and all this stuff." And she ended up like paying for his back surgery and helping him. But it's like he was just bullying her because he was miserable. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like you can't.
But hurt people, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it goes like, so I grew up like in a very rural area, and we did we hunted a lot and we trapped, and like if you get an animal caught in a trap, like that animal is vicious when you go to try to get him out of a trap. Well, he's in pain, he's under stress. Like a human being is the same way. If they're in pain and they're under stress, they're going to be pretty snappy.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to have a lot of patience. They're not going to, you know, like, because they're suffering through something you can't see, you know. And that's one thing for me. It's helped me a lot in life, is that I came to a realization that most people's behavior is a symptom of something else. So like when someone's acting out, it's not like they want to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, and sure, there are those people for sure, but for the most part, there's something going on inside of them that's coming out, you know. So like, I try to like be very patient with anyone who's rude or, you know, seems to be going through something, because you don't know what they're going through. That person's dad may have died, you know, a day ago or whatnot. So you just don't know.
Yeah.
But then there's the other part of me that wants to just be like, all right, treat people the way you want to be treated, and just be a good person, and I think that solves a lot of problems.
Well, I was going to talk to you about, I noticed that you had Emmy Russell on your podcast.
Yes.
And so I don't know her, but my family's farm that I grew up on, it bordered Loretta's ranch.
Oh, really?
So that's where I grew up, is Hurricane Mills, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so I grew up I knew Miss Loretta pretty much, and Mr. Mooney my whole life, and they're always incredibly kind, and you know, they're just real good country people. And always, you know, Miss Loretta's like a legend, you know, in her own right. And I mean, I think she's 7-time Entertainer of the Year, the most any female's ever won it. And, you know, I was telling Eric earlier, I had a story where I snuck into their garage and stole a can of olive green paint and painted her refrigerator when I was like 7 years old. And
really?
find a pool of green paint in Loretta Lynn's kitchen. I got my ass beat pretty good for that one. Like painting Loretta Lynn's refrigerator.
Oh my God, that's a sick story though.
Obviously she's, Emmy's her granddaughter, and
yeah.
I was like, that's really cool. And seeing her whole journey on American Idol and how well she did, and just knowing how good that family actually is and what kind of people they are, that was really cool. And I thought it was really cool that you had a chance to sit down and talk with her.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was actually, that was like a pretty amazing episode, because when Emmy and I met, we wrote together. I actually moved into the house that she was living in. So I met her while I was moving into that house, and she was moving into Liz Rose's. And we ended up writing together over at Liz Rose, and like kind of just bonded on like a bunch of things that I'm not always open about talking about. And she has this song called Skinny about eating disorders, and that like blew up on like Songhouse. Her husband runs Songhouse.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like really healing for me and my dad, sort of, because she started talking about that, and like I admire her so much, and it's just a reminder of why I started the podcast, was like people that you look up to struggle with all the same things you struggle with. So it was like when she was able to open up about that, then I did a episode about eating disorders next, because it was like she kind of gave me the strength to like talk about those
That's
things.
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, but like because she's such a badass, but she's also not afraid to be like, these are the things that I go through, and this is what I'm writing about. And I think more artists should be open about those things, because people really look up to you, and they want to know that like even though you struggle with things, you can still work through it and be successful and be vulnerable at the same time.
100%.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, my wife struggled with an eating disorder when she was younger. She was an artist. She was on the Disney show called Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. She'll kill me for talking about this, because she tried to everything to get away from the Disney, I guess the umbrella, I guess you could call it. But she, I don't think people know what you guys go through. Like as a male, like it's not as prevalent, like we don't get judged on our appearance like you guys do. And, going out on stage and being in front of crowds of people, and when you have that in your mind, I'm sure it's a real struggle. And I know it was for her. I'm sure it was for you. And I mean, glad we don't have to, really struggle with things like that. But, it's anytime you get an opportunity to let that out and get a little bit of therapy and say it in front of the world, I think it lightens the load a little bit. You don't have to carry it by yourself, and I think that's a good thing. I've always been a wear my feelings on my sleeves type person, and I usually get over things really fast because I just cry that shit out and say it all and do all the yelling, and then I'm done and it's over and I move on.
That's a good way to handle things, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know that I get over things too fast. But do you write about it at all?
So I'm not a writer. I'm a DJ. That was my craft in the music world. I did just a touring DJ for like 15 years. So I played all over the country, Southeast, and all the frat parties, I've had some wild times, being a 35-year-old DJ at like a frat party in Gainesville at University of Florida with a bunch of 20, 19 and 21-year-old kids going wild. But yeah, I just eventually grew out of that. But that was also like therapy. For music was always been like an escape for me. When you grow up in a really, really small town and it's extremely rural, the only way I got exposed to like any culture other than that was through music. And so I think that's why I fell in love with music. Like the first CDs I ever bought were like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, like The Chronic and Doggy Style.
Hell yeah.
And they got thrown away immediately when I got caught with them. Because they're like parental advisory, explicit lyrics and stuff. But like I really gravitated toward that, and that's really what got me when I got to college and I started bartending, and immediately was like, I want to DJ. And then our DJ had an issue one night and we weren't able to be there, and it's like a Saturday night, you have no time to find a cover. So my boss is like, do you want to DJ? And I was like, bro, I don't know how to DJ.
You're like, this
He's
is
like,
my time.
just get up there, talk shit on the microphone, and throw a fucking party.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can do that. And so the mixes were terrible, bro. It was one train wreck after another. I was literally raising one volume and lowering the other. Like, I'm like, this is not DJing. Like, this is ridiculous. But we crushed it. I had a blast. People were dancing on top of the bar all night. And then my boss came to me at the end of the night. We didn't really like the DJ that we had, and he's like, "Do you want to start doing every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?" And I was like, "Let's fucking go." And then that led to 15 years of DJing.
Oh my God, 15 years?
Yeah, and I actually I DJ'd with 2 Chainz when he was rapping under Titty Boy. I DJ'd for Meek Mill, Bubba Sparks, Young Buck, like quite a few big rappers. I played at Dayglow and opened for Sidney Sampson, who sells out amphitheaters in Europe.
Damn, dude, that's
so
so cool.
I had a pretty good career as a DJ. I just got to a point where I was at one of those frat parties actually in Ole Miss, and I think I was 37, and I'm like looking around, and I'm like, bro, you cannot be the gray-headed DJ at these parties, bro. Like, it does not work. And I don't know why, but I never got into producing. So like that's usually the next evolution for DJs,
yeah.
you know? So like for me, that didn't interest me. So it was like, all right, I've been in the bar business my whole career. And I love this industry. Let's go and try to turn this into a real job. So I went with TC Group and started working for those guys and helped open Aldean's and Luke's and FGL House, and worked my way up there, and then kind of got into director position, and then COVID uprooted everything like it did for everyone else. And
God.
That was one of those things too for me where I was like, hey, I worked my whole career to like finally got to this point where I'm in the, the corporate side of things. I'm not the day-to-day bar manager stuff, and boom, it's gone. Everybody got laid off. And then these guys over here, so I'm actually director of operations for Cold Beer Entertainment now as well. So I run all operations for Losers and Duck Blind and all of the venues that we have. So
wow.
And that's my gig now. But I'm like I think I got caught in the middle, the right brain and the left brain. I think I'm like.
Oh, you think you're balanced?
I think I have.
That's pretty amazing.
A little bit of both.
Good. That's the goal for most people.
Yeah, that's what everybody just working so hard
I'm
to have.
trying to be. It's like, I think I'm perfect.
Well, that's not what I meant.
I know.
But I'm very in tune with my emotions and my mental. I don't have a lot of peaks and valleys. I'm pretty much a flat line, it took a long time to get to there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inner peace, and like you were saying earlier, not giving a fuck. Like, I just got to the point where I was like, why am I trying to fucking please all these people? I don't even like these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like half of them.
I know. I wish I could check in. There's so many people that I try to please all the time that I don't like, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't like these people.
Yeah. So when you were saying that earlier, I was like, you're actually helping me with my wife right now, because she's literally all the things, the people pleasing. And she's a songwriter. Obviously, she's a very right brain person, and she struggles with the left brain stuff. So,
yeah.
I was like, this actually is going to be therapeutic for me.
We'll get her on the podcast.
My relationship with my wife, because it's going to help me understand her more.
Yeah.
Which is always great. Like that's the key to relationships, is like the more you can understand each other, the easier it is.
Yeah, where you just know where someone's coming from.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, oh, okay. If that's why that's happening to you, then we can work.
Then
that
I can
out.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
So all that happened during the pandemic. You started.
So after pandemic, I was a free agent, and Steve Ford, the owner of Cold Beer Entertainment, he asked for a meeting. Him and I are longtime friends, and my dad and him were friends. So I'd known him since I was a kid, and he hit me up and was like, heard you're a free agent, and he's like, I'm looking to kind of turn things over here, and he's like, if you want to bring your team in, because that was kind of my thing, as I had a team of people that were loyal to me and hard workers and good people, and they also got laid off, and my deal was like, I want to protect them. So like, it's not just me, it's like 12 managers and like 30 bartenders, you know, like that all I need to take care of. And he was, God bless him for it too, because it was a tough time for everyone. And he basically hired everyone I brought in, and
wow.
We kind of retooled the company, and we've done pretty good since. We're super excited to have Riley on board with Duck Blind, and
the spot
it's
is
been
sick.
super successful. And then he introduced me to Eric, and he's been really good to me, and opened a lot of doors for me. And just grateful to be here and be a part of the whole thing. not everybody gets to sit down and do stuff like this. And this is actually, you know, I told my wife after Eric and I started this that this was actually a huge deal for me because I haven't been able to use my creative brain in a long time. Like I've been a taskmaster and I was like, I would take less money to do this, you know, like the money doesn't, I want to be fulfilled. I'm 45. Like I want to do something important. I want to reach people, you know, like you were talking about, you know, like help people. Because we only get one chance. We only get one go around, you know, and we're here for a blink. And,
it's true.
You know, the only way to really leave a mark is to do stuff like this, do creative things. Nobody's ever going to remember the taskmaster.
Yeah.
You know?
And not be afraid to fall on your face.
Yeah.
Which is a big fear of mine, but.
For sure.
If you put yourself out there, be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking because there were like positive things out of the pandemic, like what you were just saying, but I feel like when I moved here the second year of the pandemic, it was like low-key the best time I could have came here because I feel like in New York everything was completely closed.
Right.
But then I came here and everything was like open, but no one was on tour or working,
Right.
so everyone was just like drinking at the bar, and it was like the best networking that I possibly could have done. Like all the people that you wanted to like write with and stuff, they were just like there because they're like, well, I had nothing else.
Which
to
they
do.
would when they would never normally be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of them would definitely still be there.
Yeah,
but,
some of them.
But no,
especially
it
here,
was it was like really good networking, low key. I mean, that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm sad. That
Yeah, it screwed up a lot of things for a lot of people, but there's also, like you said, so many things I wouldn't change about it.
Yeah.
Just got to spend plenty of time with my kids, got to work on a lot of new music, and, you know, focus on things that mattered, I think. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you realize, like, oh, shit, you take all this away, and this is what's left, and kind of forced you to prioritize and kind of felt like I took kind of inventory of my whole life and kind of tried to trim the fat and get rid of all the bullshit. But even there, you realize how many things that you're unnecessarily like holding on to, and that, you know, oh, if this was, you know, gone tomorrow, what would I do? And then all of a sudden it's gone tomorrow. And it's like, all right, well, this is what I would do.
Guess we found out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm grateful for the experience, and, you know, but then again, you know, I'd like some things of the career to come back also. That, you know,
there's a lot of really
disappeared,
things,
but it's disappeared for most people. So.
I was just being positive, but there was a lot of things that weren't good about it.
I guess we're all, you know, trying to make the most of a really shitty situation.
That's what we did. We spent the whole time like in Florida, and I played like 100 rounds, 150 rounds of golf that year because I was like, when am I?
That's
like,
awesome.
when am I
There was
ever
nothing else to do. We'd play every morning, then we'd go right somewhere, then go usually work on the demo or work tape at somebody's studio. Like, kind of got into a good little routine.
Yeah.
Then you had to go back on the road after it was all over, and like, did I really love the road as much as I thought I did?
Yeah. I think a lot of people had those questions.
Which I do, and it's obviously still how I make a living, so, you know, you want those dates to be there, but, you know, if they're fewer and farther between, it really doesn't upset me that much.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on the road?
No, not really. I don't know. I'm working on a new EP right now. I'm doing with Paul Sykes. I love him. He's so great. And he's producing it, and this is kind of like all stuff I wrote just by myself that I've always wanted to put out. And I feel like he's like really like can like read my mind with how I hear things. So I feel like once I'm done with that, then I'll start to do that again. But also just like the organizational side of things is so hard for me. It is not a strong suit. So I don't know. Putting all of that together really stresses me out. Yeah. Anytime I've had to do it, I'm like, they
don't know where to start.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah.
I remember like all the records we made, like we'd put like go to like Staples or Office Depot and buy a poster board. You write like a chart out and like put all the song names, put all the different pieces of instrumentation and all the different tracking stuff. Like we'd literally check off boxes, we'd write stuff on it the whole time, and by the time we'd finish the record, it was just this massive poster board just full of all kinds of notes and stuff. And I took pictures of all of them, and like still go back and like try to remember everything that goes into making a record and putting all those pieces together. I don't think people have a clue how much planning and the logistical side of it's an absolute nightmare.
It's a nightmare, yeah.
But it's awesome, and again, it's one of those things. It takes so many different people to put the whole thing together, and then you have such a cool work of art. Another thing we've talked about is like I hate the fact that this socially driven and digital kind of, all the digital service platforms and whatnot have kind of taken away the art that is an album and a collection of songs from beginning to end.
I know, because it's like a time in your life. You can hear it in people's albums. You're like, oh my God, what they were going through. And then now it's just like, here's a song about beer, and then here's a song about this. And I would just rather it all be, because all the songs I write at a certain time are all because I'm going through something. I hear that in the sound. But yeah, it makes it harder now too to do that, because it's like I don't know, your songs are gonna pop off more if you like put one out every once in a while.
And then it's like, I have artists like Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs putting out a 30+ song record, and like you listen to it from front to back, I feel like you actually, I've seen comments about Morgan's record. Who hurt this guy, this poor man, or whatever? Because the whole record,
someone probably did hurt him, and that's why he wrote it.
It's about heartbreak, and there's a lot of toxicity in the songs and stuff. It's like, I feel like I got a little glimpse into what he's been going through the past few years. And
that's what we want.
And that's a lost art. And but it's like someone at that level, that's what it takes. I mean, and even making a record is so expensive anymore. Granted, you can make one in a bedroom on GarageBand or on Logic, but to really have just a masterpiece sonically, it takes so much work.
It's so expensive.
It is.
Yeah. I think that's why I also like love songwriting for other people, because like when I write a song, a lot of times when I write songs, I'll like avoid writing a song, because like maybe I'm dating somebody that I'm like, I know I should not be dating this fucking person, but I'm not going to write about it yet, because if I write it, I'm going to tell myself that I don't really like them.
Talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm just going to avoid writing these things. So it's like, when I write for myself, it's like, it takes so much out of me.
Yeah.
But then when I'm in a room for somebody else and they're like, I'm going through this, I'm like, awesome. Let's focus on your problems today.
Give me more pain.
Yeah, I was like, I can write this in 5 seconds. Yeah. Because it's like, it just takes focus off me worrying about myself. But yeah.
Did you start kind of on the country side of things, being from New York, or was it just music in general and just kind of wherever it fell format wise?
Yeah, I think like growing up, my dad, like the music that I would listen to, he liked for me to listen to country music because he knew I wanted to be a songwriter, and that's like the best songwriting is always in country songs. But yeah, I think I'm more like, it was just like me and my guitar singing like sad girl folk stuff. But then when I started working with Zach, and he kind of like, he plays a lot of guitar on my first EP, so there's like a little country in there for sure. And then just writing in this town, like I feel like I've just written a lot of country stuff, which is like funny because I'm from New York, and every time I say y'all, I'm like, do they all know that I'm lying? But
it was funny. My grandfather was born and raised in Brooklyn, and when we moved to the South, like he adopted the word y'all as like he was going to use it every which way he possibly could. And I just remember thinking, you're faking this. Like, it's not even real.
Yeah. No,
he was like, no, I'm trying to assimilate. I'm trying to fit in down here.
You gotta say you guys.
Yeah, my grandpa used to say you guyses.
You guys.
Yeah. He would literally say you guyses. And yeah, so, and when I go back, I'm like, that's my personality. But then when I'm here, I'm like, y'all think.
Right.
That's what I was about to say. I bet when you're like at a bar in New York with New Yorkers, you probably really start to sound like you.
Oh, yeah. Me and my brothers, we sound like hood rats.
Yeah.
So how many brothers you got?
2 brothers.
2 brothers. Is that only is that your only siblings?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the middle child, but.
Nice. Well, that's perfect. See, that's what I've always said is I wanted a brother or a son, a daughter, and a brother. That way there's always a brother around to kick somebody's ass if need be. Like,
they did that a little bit too much to the point that I thought I was ugly in high school because most guys wanted to talk to me. I got told that from like one of my biggest high school crushes. I was like, why didn't he love me? And then like 5 years later, he was like, honestly, I never spoke to you because your brother told me he would murder me if I ever talked to you. And I was like, this really fucked me up a little bit. Like, I thought I was ugly.
Oh my God.
Well, at least you're finally finding out the truth.
Yeah, a little too late.
Piece it all together. And
I'm already
this
traumatized.
Is what siblings are good for.
Pick up the pieces, put your heart back together.
Yeah. Help me write songs, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who are some of your biggest influences being a girl in New York writing songs? Like,
I loved Alanis Morissette.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she's a badass.
I agree.
Yeah, 145, so that her peak was like my teenage, early 20s years. I was always a huge fan of Alanis Morissette. I mean, I don't know how you can't not love those songs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so good. I mean,
even though they're about what's his face. Do you know him from Full House?
Oh yeah.
Uncle Joey.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cut
Dave,
it out.
Dave Cooley.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Dave Coulier. Yeah.
Cooley.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
damn, that dude probably had some game.
Cut
That's
it
wild.
out.
I actually didn't know that. That's,
You didn't know that?
no.
Yeah, that song "You Ought to Know," where she's like,
That's
it's about him.
Oh my gosh.
Cut it out.
That is amazing.
I know. He must have really had some riz back then.
Yeah.
Sounds like, I mean,
Yeah.
Well, you know, like guys that make you laugh.
well, you learn,
They're the most
learn from the
dangerous
best.
They are the most
Yeah,
dangerous
stay away
ones.
from those guys.
We learned from Danny Tanner. So, you know, Bob
true.
Saget's a legend. May he rest in peace.
Yes, you know, growing up watching Full House, like, and then as an adult watching his stand-up act, I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just like, oh my.
I know you were like,
He's like the
"It's
most
my dad."
vulgar. This is Danny Tanner, dude. It's like the most vulgar stand-up act I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But it's what made him great. Like that, what is it, Half Baked? Mm-hmm. When he's like, I suck dick for crack. And I was like, oh my God, dude, Danny Tanner just said he sucks dick for crack. Like, this is too much. But like, yeah, that guy, he was super special, man. Like you could tell the way that he was celebrated after he passed. Like he touched a lot of people, man.
Yeah, he married a good friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh.
remember watching her go through all that.
Yeah.
Because she was the happiest she had ever been. Like, finally found her
It's
person.
tough,
and
man.
They were, like, kind of, what's the word? It's like uncomfortable how in love they were.
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool.
And just hearing all the stories about him, like, obviously the raunchy stand-up and stuff, but apparently he's just one of the nicest dudes on the planet.
That's what it
and
pretty
really
much
cared
I've
about
heard.
people. So
He's
it's good to hear.
Incredibly talented.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys think that you would ever try stand-up comedy?
So, in my opinion, that's the hardest job on the planet.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We were talking about stage fright earlier. There's absolutely no way I could do that job. But those guys, they struggle with addiction more than anyone else. Like they're all really
Pretty right-brained people out
Yeah,
there.
and a lot of them are very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with the guys on the Funny Bone in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a comedy club up there, and Mitch Hedberg was always one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah.
And he did a show up there, and he was late, and they sent some guys from the comedy club over to the hotel to try to get him, and he was like incapacitated, and he like literally they woke him up, and he ripped like a couple lines of cocaine and like went straight and did the show.
Wow.
And like he was a heroin addict, so like I mean, and I just, for someone who brings so much joy to others, to know that they're that tormented, it's pretty hard, man. It's pretty like, it's very sad, you know. Like Robin Williams, like that's my whole childhood, dude.
I loved him.
And like how much joy, you know, did he bring to millions and millions of people, adults, kids. You know, I think a lot of his movies reach people. Like Patch is still one of my favorite Robin Williams movies, but you know, like to know that man was that sad inside, you know, it's just really, it sucks, man. Like you wish they were able to like find a way out of that, or there was something out there that could help those people.
Yeah.
Other than medication, because I'm not a big fan of pills solving problems. Pills don't solve problems; they mask symptoms. And so I would love to see those people to be able to be mentally healthy, you know, and not as tormented, you know. But like it's kind of wild that some of the people who bring us the greatest amount of joy are also some of our most sick and depressed folks. But yeah, that walking out on stage with the pressure of making people laugh. And if they don't, like, oh my God, like having to stand out there by yourself and not get a positive response has got to be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think I would want to put myself in that position, just knowing how difficult it is on the music side of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd ever volunteer for that kind of lifestyle. I mean, as a band or as an artist, you travel and you have a group of people with you. You have at least a tour manager, or guitar player, someone that you can bounce ideas off of, someone you can talk to. A lot of those comedians travel by themselves and don't have a real team of people with them, so it seems to be an insanely lonely business. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, even solo artists, they've told me, they're like, well, at least you're in a duo, so you have somebody else out there to experience everything with, and I do enjoy that side of it, but seems like you'd just be so lonely as a comedian, just being a one-man show.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, dealing with the stress of, you know, jokes not working or just not having it, not being able to deliver it the right way, and fall flat on your face. So now you're already dealing with the loneliness and everything else.
Yeah.
It's like you bomb on stage one night and have to deal with kind of just the mental weight of all of that.
Yeah,
More power to him. I wouldn't want to do it.
Speaking of the bullying, like, people online will bully you for your music, but people at those shows will just be like, "You suck."
Yeah.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and
just
you're
gotta
putting
do
yourself out there like that, and it takes a lot. I mean, because a lot of those guys are very, you know, self-deprecating and
Yeah.
talking about themselves and their lives, and you know, so you're bringing up personal shit here. People are shitting all over it. That's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
And also just having to be turned all the way up all the time. Like, that's
Yeah.
exhausting mentally, dude. Like, I don't know how they do that. Like, after we did these, you know, few shows, like, I was exhausted the first day from just brain function, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
just having to be on.
yeah,
It's like,
and I did a couple reality TV auditions, and like, you know, they want you turned all the way up all the time. And like, I would just go back to my hotel room and like slam bottles of wine from the room service afterwards, because I was like so
Yeah.
bent out of shape from just having to be turned all the way up. And I mean, it's tough, man. And comedians, I have said it before, and I'll say it many times again. I'm sure that's, in my mind, it's the toughest job in the world.
yeah.
I'd rather be a brain surgeon. The
Yeah.
person getting operated on probably wouldn't rather me be a brain surgeon. They'd probably rather me tell jokes.
I'd
but,
let you do brain surgery on me.
oh, that's very,
Yeah.
I would.
it's very risky.
I'll be honest. I definitely would not let you.
yeah. If you saw how bad my hands were shaking after a damn 9 milligram nicotine pouch, you definitely wouldn't want me sticking my hands in your brain. Oh man, we brought up Dallas Alexander earlier. You know, we had him on, and we really enjoyed talking to him. And you know, he had a lot of good things to say about you. How did you guys end up working together and meeting each other and all that?
Dallas, I was telling him earlier, but yeah, he just like, I'm good friends with this guy Vaden, who is his good friend, and Vaden runs Smash Farms, and so he gave me my own round to like curate.
Okay.
So I like picked out like my favorite songwriters, and I was like all ready to go, and then he was like, "You mind if I throw in this other guy?" And I was like, "Is he any fucking good? Because I
Yeah.
did a really good job to put this together." And then it was Dallas, and then we kind of just like hit it off. Like we became really good friends, and then he flew me out to Canada to sing on his album. And while I was out there was when I was like going through my very traumatic breakup that I said I had to get a restraining order, which wasn't good. And that was a really hard time for me, but I had already agreed to go on that trip. So like while I was there, like the whole time that I was with him, I was like, I'm going through something really heavy right now, and I need to be on this call and all this stuff. So I feel like it kind of just like sped up our friendship, because we became very
You got
close.
to know each other really quickly.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he like had my back hardcore. So ever since then, we've kind of just like been like family to each other. So it's been pretty awesome, and we play a lot together and write a lot together. So
Yeah, he's my favorite kind of Canadian, dude. He's so down to earth, and you know, I feel like there's a couple different kinds of Canadians. He's the good one.
I thought all Canadians were just like better. Honestly, they're just like nice and good looking.
They're pretty chill too.
Like all Canadians are like super nice and pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
I think
That's
my
what I
experience with Canadians has been about 50-50.
Yeah.
Really pretty down to earth people, and then the opposite.
yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
it depends on what part of Canada too.
Yeah, I was saying to him, because I had Dallas on my podcast to like talk about, you know, obviously he's gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, we're probably going to talk about stuff like if you struggle with PTSD, if you struggle with whatever. And the whole time he was just so jolly on the podcast. He's like, yeah, but everything's pretty great. I actually don't really have any problem, like all this stuff. And I was like, find something.
Yeah.
My favorite thing he said was that he's like, I'm not very patriotic. He's like, I just got in there to kill bad guys.
Yeah,
he's like, and I got
know.
to do a lot of that, so it was cool. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It
that's
wasn't so
amazing.
much about fighting for Canada. It was fighting for good.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated, because so many people put all of their identity into
The flag.
the flag.
Yeah.
And, doesn't matter what I do, it's for the country. And
Yeah.
I think that's a slippery slope if,
Yes.
you know, especially with the wrong person or the right person, depending on how you look at it. But I don't know, those guys another thankless job with a lot of stress.
Check, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those guys at that level. I mean, what they ask them to do and then how they treat them is pretty sad. But
Yeah.
but you know, he's like you said, very jolly guy. So
jolly.
I mean, I guess he seems like an anomaly to me compared.
Yeah.
Well,
to
that's
most of them.
he carries it well. A lot of guys, those guys don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those that type of thing, I'm learning like from my dad, but it's kind of like he also said like athletes. I don't know. That's also sort of a right brain thing because the way that your brain works, having to see like the whole field and being able to do all of that stuff. So that's pretty interesting to have like those types of guys on the podcast too, because you don't realize they also have sort of similar brains. But yeah.
For sure.
And again, I mean, maybe he is completely okay, but I know
Or maybe
for
he's
most
a liar.
people, or maybe he's full of shit, but I don't think he is. But you know, just again, like we were saying earlier, it's like how many hundreds of people has he killed? Like,
I don't know.
it's got to weigh on you at some point, even
Yeah.
if they are a bad guy. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, they still had a family too. It's like things that have to cross your mind at some point. I mean, I'm sure we all develop different types of methods of
Compartmentalization.
coping and compartmentalizing, but
Yeah.
at a certain point, it's like, well, you gotta think about it.
Yeah.
I would think, and maybe he's just gifted and can compartmentalize better than I can.
Yeah.
But
It's
again,
funny.
I've never been in that position, so I don't know how I would deal with it.
I think people always give those guys grief when they say, like, I was following orders, and I'm like, people are like, oh, you're following orders, like, so you just do anything anybody tells you? Like, no, bro. Do you understand what it's like to be in the military? I don't. When a command gives me an order, I don't have a choice. It's not like I get to say, like, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like,
What happens to that same asshole that's saying that on the internet when his boss tells him that he needs to go refill the water cooler, or when you tell him to fuck
Or
off?
fire
No, I'm not going to do it. You'll
somebody
lose your
that-
job. Like, you don't think it works like that in the military?
Yeah, well, it's worse in the military. You
Yeah,
get your
way
ass
worse.
court-martialed, and then you end up in a military fucking jail or prison, which is not cool at all. You know, so
Yeah.
like that's what people don't understand. I'm like, they genuinely do have to follow the orders. Like they don't get a choice, guys. It's not
Yeah.
an option.
And the mental stakes that it takes on you. My friend that lives here, he's a Navy SEAL, and I was like hanging out at his house one day, and he was like, I had a dream last night that I killed somebody, and I hid them under my sink, and I don't know why I had that dream. And he was like, maybe I was a murderer in my past life. And my friend was like, or you
Or your
killed
current
people
life?
in this current life. He was like, oh yeah, maybe that's what it's from.
Yeah.
Like you can.
Prime example of compartmentalization.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
You completely forgot about all the people I did kill.
Yeah, we're like, or that's what your job is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know some guys that literally do look at it that way. Like that's like, oh, if I killed someone in my private life, my civilian life, that's different. But like the ability to completely separate the two is wild to me. And the guys that can do that, it's a different breed of human. In my
They're
opinion.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're scary dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's frightening. But I'm incredibly grateful for them
Me
and
too.
what they do.
Yeah,
And
no doubt. No doubt.
I will never talk shit because
No, because they'll kill you. No. I'm just
well,
kidding.
there is that.
Yeah, thank God for
It's
that.
highly likely, but
No, because it's pretty amazing. But yeah, I like being I like all the things about being down south, and like me, I've never really been around people in the military. So when I came down here and I became friends with Dallas and some of my other friends, and it's very special to find out about.
Yeah.
And I like that now that he's in the music world, he's kind of promoting both of those things. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's really special.
Were you in New York for 9/11?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little kid, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was that like for a little kid in New York? I mean, I'm sure that, I mean, I know how, I was a teenager. I know how it made me feel. I can't imagine, like, being in New York.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I have many people close to me that lost their parents, so it's kind of weird because I didn't realize that that's like, I said that to someone recently, and they were like, "You knew somebody that died in that?" I'm like, "Yeah, a lot of people. From Long Island, all my friends' parents worked in the city, so like, yes, many people whose parents died. So yeah, that was. I mean, I remember the day that it happened because I got picked up from school. They wouldn't let us leave school, and they were like waiting for everyone to get picked up, and then my mom was trying to kind of explain it to us as like little kids. She's like, some people's dads work in the city, and we were all like, what happened to Dad? But my dad had his office on.
How old were you?
I was probably like, I don't know, maybe like kindergarten or first
so you
grade
were a
or something.
little kid,
Maybe like
yeah.
first grade.
Yeah.
But I remember it like pretty vividly, and yeah, it was really crazy. Like a friend of mine's dad walked all the way home, and they thought that he worked in the Twin Towers, but luckily he worked on like the first floor, but like everything was closed, so he
And
walked
the
home.
self-service was down
No
everywhere.
service,
Yeah.
and they were just waiting for him. Couldn't get in contact with him, and he like came home. He's just covered in dust and like walked through the door. It's a pretty like chilling story. But
Yeah, that's very chilling.
and then I have friends who's like, it's super weird. This girl I went to college with, her dad like randomly that day just called out sick for some reason. He worked in the Twin Towers too, and he just like for some reason just didn't go. She writes about it like every year, and I always think it's the craziest story. But there's a couple people with that where I'm just like, that's a sign from God for sure.
For
like,
sure.
Absolutely.
You know, just so crazy to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna go to work today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy being from New York, I guess, which I didn't realize because I spent so much time in New York. Everyone knew that, but then when you get out of it and people ask about it, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely wild. I was in college, and my aunt who raised me, she called me and she told me I need to turn the news on. Still, I'll get emotional talking about it because it's one of those things that if you're watching, 3,000 innocent people die right there on television, live, and in your country, like it's I think as Americans, we until 9/11 we had a false sense of security that like this doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
And then it's happening, and it's not just happening on a small scale, it's happening on a very, very large scale.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories and crazy stuff about all that too, so
They're not theories, it's fact.
yeah, we'll probably never know the actual truth. Yeah, but I think for hearing it, even as a little kid, I can't imagine how like you said, you remember that day pretty vividly. Like, it's one of those things you remember where you were at and what was happening, and definitely that day will never leave my mind, I don't think.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Also, like going like once I grew up and was like in high school and stuff, and they would talk about it in like social studies or whatever, but it was like a heavy thing to talk about because there would be like 2 kids in that class whose dad died. So yeah, it was definitely, it was weird.
That is, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we never have to have
That conversation.
that type of thing happen again to where we have to explain it that way.
We
to
get
our
this
kids,
golden
but-
dome
Yeah.
put in or whatever Trump's talking about.
Oh yeah.
But then again, if it's an inside job, what does it matter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could go down rabbit holes all day.
Oh,
But
you and me both. Yeah, it's pretty disturbing once you really start to dig into it. And, being from New York, we had a bunch of family friends that worked there that lost people, and even now, like, there's all these other conspiracy theorists that are saying, "Oh, no one died that day. This didn't
Oh
happen."
wow, I
Like,
haven't gotten that deep
I'm
into
like,
the internet.
well, wait a second. Like, and that's kind of the line you have to walk as a conspiracy theorist. It's
Yeah.
like there's so much truth sprinkled in with so much misinformation or disinformation. So you have to kind of be able to discern what it is that you're reading, and that so many people just jump on these fantasyland banana stories and ride that wave for clicks or for monetization and whatnot. And
I think
and
that's.
who knows what the truth is, really.
I think
But-
it's intentional.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all deflection. Like they don't
Well,
want
yeah,
you to
I mean,
know what's
they,
true. So
they have to tell you what they're doing, but then they also have to put enough in there to muddy the waters. And I think they're experts at doing it. And
It is confusing though, because like I will literally believe like anything. I'm like, yeah, that's true, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then like I actually bartended with, and this has nothing to do with politics. I'm just saying that I bartended with this person, but I bartended with AOC, and I told.
Oh wow, really?
Yes, for 2 years in New York.
That's amazing.
And I told these people at a party the other day, I think just because I knew it would like rile them up a little
Yeah.
bit, because I wasn't talking about politics in any way. I was just like, I just knew this specific person who was going to make them mad. So I
Trigger
said it.
them, yeah.
And then he like went on this whole like rant about how he's like, she's a hired like what, and honestly, I always believe all of those things. Like
Right.
there's so many people where I'm like, yeah, this person's a paid actor and whatever. But then she's like actually someone that I knew for
Right.
2 years. I was like, well, actually, I don't know about that, because I actually did. He was like, she never bartended at all. I was like, She did, because I was there.
Right.
I was
I
there with her
bartended
for
with
2
her.
years. So things like that, it made me think a little bit. I was like, oh, I like literally believe everything, and then this is like something that I can say.
No.
I actually.
Well, yeah, and even that, let's break that down. Okay.
Yeah.
Could she have been hired after the fact and
Oh,
she
sorry.
was
I know
still
I
a
thought about that
bartender
too. I don't
and
know.
her story's all legit, but maybe the person that got in her ear and convinced her to do this, that, and the
Yeah.
other was legit. Like,
I know,
mean,
I
so
don't
there's
know.
parts of that could be true, and obviously they are.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't know how things work in our very corrupt government.
We
And-
really
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
And I'm sure even the people that do know, there's still shit that they don't know.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
should be in charge. We
that
should
way
all
by
be in
design.
charge.
That's exactly right. You put us in charge.
I would have this thing fixed in a minute.
Yeah.
It's so easy for everyone to say.
Oh, dude, we would hate that job so much.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
as right brain people, half of America would instantly hate you, and I could never handle that.
Well, that's
Exactly.
exactly what would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and love him or hate him, that's, I think, a great thing about Donald Trump is he doesn't give a shit. He's
Yeah.
going to do what he's going to do and what he thinks is best for the country. And it is what it is. I don't know. People just love to hate people, and they love an excuse to hate an entire worldview or idea or something else just because of the person that's behind it. And
Yeah.
even that, it's all, you read all the classified CIA or declassified CIA documents, they've been messing with the minds of people since the beginning of time.
I know, I think about it every day.
So do I. It's frightening.
Yeah, it's all,
I'm like, all right, how gullible am I? Like, what would I believe?
it's like we're all trapped in this giant psyop.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty wild sometimes.
And even so, people hear the word psyop or they psychological operation. They're like, oh, you're a layperson. There's no way you could know about that. I'm like, well, I can read just as well as you can. Like, critical thinking doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And if you go against the system in any way, you're demonized for it. And
Yeah.
so why would kids think critically? Like, no, I'm going to go along with what everybody else believes because I'll get my new shoes, I'll get my iPad, so-and-so will like me, I'll be popular at school. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And we're raising kids to win the popularity contest at school these days, it seems like. I mean,
Not think for themselves.
Yeah.
It's pretty
exactly.
crazy, like, thinking about it. If 9/11 was orchestrated, it was executed perfectly, and it worked exactly the way they wanted it to, because it achieved what the
they
military
achieved
complex
everything that they needed
wanted to do. I mean,
And
then
all they're doing is repeating the same thing that rulers have done throughout all of history.
Yeah.
And it's very sad that when I think back about that, in my lifetime, the most unified the country ever was after 9/11. There was almost no division. There was almost no party lines because everyone had a central, they had another person to hate, which was Osama bin Laden, which is very sad.
But
that's
I
what
look at it as completely by design.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
How do you make an
man.
entire nation of people hate an entire race of people? Like,
Yeah.
okay, we all hate Muslims now because they bombed our skyscrapers. Like, what a great way for the U.S. government or all
To
governments
justify a war
globally
in
to
the Middle
justify
East,
us
yeah.
going and blowing up Arabs because they bombed us. Okay, was it Israel? Was it our government? Was it Iran? Was it any number of different things? I mean,
Yeah.
Sure, maybe all of them, maybe none of them. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it's certainly fishy. And
But it was
none of
wild,
adds
man,
up.
because that everybody was unified. Like, it was
Yeah.
just crazy. That's something that
Well, how many people joined the military just to go
kill.
kill
Yeah.
people in the
Yeah.
Middle East? I mean, whether that's what they were trying to accomplish or not, it worked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
created an entire generation of people that hate all Arabs because of it.
I know. I try to take a step back with like all of these things, and I'm like, if everything's orchestrated and nothing is what we're being told and all that stuff, I'm just like, why am I like, I don't know, like when I'm like beating myself up in my mind about
Why
things,
are
I'm
we
like,
doing that?
why don't I just put that song out? Why don't I just say whatever the hell I want? Because honestly, why am I worried about
gives
these?
a-
Like, yeah, who gives a fuck? Everything is
Nobody
not
else
what we-
does.
No,
Yeah.
it's not what we think it is anyway.
I
So.
felt that way the other day. I was looking through a hard drive of old songs. I was like, man, why didn't I just put all those out? Why didn't
Yeah.
we just put all those out? Like, now they're sitting on a hard drive, and I'm still scared to put them out. I'm telling
Yeah.
myself, dumbass, like, no one cares. Just put it out there.
No one cares. Nothing's what we think it is.
How do you even know what these people think about this if they've never heard it?
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, hindsight's always 20/20. We always look back and, oh, if I'd only done this, if I'd done this.
So we got CMA Fest this week. You got anything going on? Are you playing anywhere, any shows this week?
I'm not playing this week because I'm supposed to go to New York. My brother's getting married soon,
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm supposed to go there. But my dad is coming in, and we're gonna film a couple podcasts with some of the people that are playing CMA, which will be great. And then I'll probably get back into playing shows after I start putting out the songs from this EP. But yeah, I'm excited for CMA Fest.
What's your timeline for the EP?
I'm gonna put a song out probably in the next like 8 weeks, but then from then on I'll like
Do like one every.
keep doing what we're supposed to do with all that. But
The waterfall.
the
Whatever they
waterfall
call
of the
that.
songs. Yeah.
Well, make sure you guys are looking out for new music from Ellis. She's got it coming your way.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yeah, this took a bunch of twists and turns. I liked it.
Yeah, we were all over the place, but that's we wanted it to be a hang. I don't ever want it to feel like a cold environment. Like we've talked about that. It wants to be warm and it's just a hangout. And then usually you get to talk about some pretty gritty stuff. And this has been a great time talking to you because we talked about things I know that we haven't covered and with anyone else. And it's very cool. I think the episode will reach people, so we really do appreciate you coming on and hanging with us.
Great, thanks. It was an honor, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, good stuff.